Good evening. So we have come back with our last video for today, and today the topic is about social justice. And what do we mean by social justice, and why social justice is so important, and why we should promote social justice. And on this topic I will be talking. So let's start. Social justice is about decreasing the gap between the rich and the poor. Social justice is about giving equal opportunities for people within our society, and showing that our society is based on justice and based on law and based on policies and based on clear criteria of progress. So social justice is not about wealth only. It includes topics like discrimination. It includes topics like the exploitation of power. It includes topics like oppression. So when we talk about social justice, a lot of people think social justice is the opposite of capitalism, which I don't think this is what should be what people should be thinking about. Capitalism has created a great level of inequality, which has contributed to social justice. However, capitalism is not the responsible for all the problems that might happen within social justice. And for the topics of capitalism and the gap between the rich and the poor, or the world richest and the world poorest, and the 1% that are richer who are controlling 50% of the population, we talked about the things that we propose. We propose more taxation, and we propose some levels of compulsory investment on public-private partnership or long-term commitment, which actually can meet certain criteria for the investors, but it actually it can force them to take more long-term risks for the interest of the public, while their interest would be in their interest would be also part of it, but instead of taking some kind of long-term instead of focusing on let me say clear interest period, or is particular is big interest, like instead of looking for 20% profit margins or 30% profit margins or 70% annual return, maybe they would be looking at 3%, 2%, 5% and higher risk profile, because they think this is for the public good and so on. And it's okay if they have some credit points, it's okay if they have some special treatment because of this. So it's okay if they have been given a special status because of this. So that's, I think, one of the ways for solving this. But this is not all about social justice. So social justice is about something that are much bigger than this. So social justice is about implementing the right rules and governance in place that does not allow someone to get the jobs of someone else, that does not allow discrimination to happen, that allows that equal access to education, equal access to transportation, equal access to resources, equal access to electricity, equal access to water, and so on. So these kind of topics, equal access to opportunity in general. So it's always about, do I have the same level of access as someone else because I am a citizen in this place or not? And if the answer is not, you would say why it's not. Is it because of his hard work, or because of it's the environment that has created such a situation? Which it could be the social environment, it could be the actual environment, it could be the physical environment, the man-made environment. So these kind of questions should be asked when we're thinking about social justice and why we are trying to lead the efforts of social justice. And one of the main criteria in looking at social justice is the amount of racism. And I promote some kind of racism index in countries. So we promote, we think about social justice in a positive way. So in many cases, you don't find a racism index that describes the current situation in the world. Do we have an index that describes what countries are racist and what are the basis of their racism or not? And why we don't have that? Why we are not transparent about racism? Maybe the first thing about to solve a problem like racism is to be transparent about it. So that's a second thing that I talk about, an index for racism. The third one, an index for using someone to get a job. So do we have an index of the spread or al-wasta, how many jobs were getted by and wasta is about, you don't get a job by yourself, you get a job because you know someone. So I think this is also contribute to social justice. Do we have a clear index on the spread of getting to particular resources or to particular opportunities because you know a particular group, rather than to be subjected to a clear and clear that either would disqualify you or qualify you within these limits. That was my talk for tonight. I wish you a great evening, and I think that was the end of our live video today. So we wish you luck, and we will see you tomorrow with new topics that I hope to be more interesting, more engaging for you, and we shall say salam.